Kamala Harris wants to introduce grocery price controls as well as rent controls. Jeff Sica with me now. Jeff, you own, what, 3,000 apartment units nationwide? What do you make of Harris's rent control plan?
Well, Stuart, you have to see this for what it is. This is a diabolical scheme to win over 40% of the U.S. population that are renters. And, you know, there's a saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yes, we need to find a way to get rents lower. One of the goals that I've had is to create more affordable housing, create housing for people with disabilities. But rent control, which has been tried in New York and San Francisco, has been a disaster. What it's going to do is it's going to lead developers like myself to not be willing to create the supply necessary. And the reason we're not willing is because the government doesn't take into account the costs associated with construction. They don't take into account demographic concerns. It is a disaster. It will create a housing shortage and a possible homeless crisis like we've never seen.
Okay, let's move on to grocery price controls. Somewhat similar to rent control, I guess. What do you make of price control at a grocery store?
Well, I think people finally learned what the true margins are in grocery stores, which are between 1% and 2%. And when you look at the amount of companies that depend on farming, and when you start to put price controls, what you do is you knock out players who are important in the supply chain. So I think that in and of itself will create a food shortage. So now you have Kamala Harris not only proposing what will create a housing shortage, but a food shortage in percentages we've never seen before.
Jeff, I want to get onto purely financial stuff, AI. I want you to listen to what Goldman Sachs chief executive David Solomon had to say about it. AI, roll it.
I would not debate that whenever you have something new that's exciting, that stock market valuations can get ahead of themselves, you know, and can run ahead, but then ultimately adjust. You and I can go look at, you know, all sorts of things over our careers where we've seen that. But AI as an expanding technology, GPUs, increased compute capacity, the ability to use this in business process, it's not a bubble, it's a trend that we're in the early stages of seeing how it implements and affects business productivity. Valuations will go up and down. I'm not smart enough, you know, to call tops and bottoms.
Okay, Jeff, he says that AI is not a bubble. I think you disagree with that. You got 30 seconds.
I do, Stuart, and here's what, and Goldman Sachs had a report of June of this year where they talked about the big capital spending that's going into AI. They're determining that it's going to be about $1 trillion. I started buying NVIDIA in 2018 on your show talking about it, that when you have to spend $1 trillion, if you can't quantify that spend in earnings, which right now we are only seeing AI add between 5 to 10% in operational profits. So yes, I think it's a transformative technology. I think it's a part of our future, but there's going to be a ramp-up time, and these expenditures by big tech need to integrate themselves into corporate profits, or we are going to see a pullback. The curse of high expectations, Stuart. There is an expectation that they will do better than they could possibly do in reality.
The curse of high expectations with new technology. Good stuff. Jeff Sica, thanks very much indeed.